There's something about celebrity marriages that makes us all curious, right? We see them on TV, smiling, cooking together, living what seems like the perfect life. But what's really going on behind those closed doors? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about relationships in the culinary world, one that's been shrouded in mystery, controversy, and more than a few eyebrow-raising moments. We're talking about Rachael Ray and her husband, John Cusimano. Now, before you click away thinking you know everything about them, trust me, you don't. Because what we've uncovered about John Cusimano is going to completely change the way you see this power couple. From secret scandals to double lives, from whispered rumors to shocking revelations, this story has it all. So buckle up, because the truth about Rachael Ray's husband is finally being revealed, and it's way more complicated than you ever imagined. Let's start at the beginning, because every great love story has an origin, and this one is actually pretty charming. It was 2001, and Rachael Ray was just starting to make waves in the culinary world. She wasn't the household name she is today, but she was on her way. Meanwhile, John Cusimano was living his life in New York City, juggling his career as an entertainment lawyer while secretly harboring dreams of rock stardom. These two came from completely different worlds, yet fate had other plans. They met at a mutual friend's party, and here's where it gets interesting. According to Rachael herself, their friend had been trying to set them up for an entire year, but they just kept missing each other. Then one night at this party, something magical happened. They were both surrounded by taller people, and somehow in that sea of height, these two shorter individuals found each other. It was like a scene from a romantic comedy, except this was real life. They connected instantly, and what started as a conversation at a party turned into a romance that would span more than 2 decades. But who exactly is John Cusimano? This is where things get really fascinating, because John is not your typical celebrity spouse who just rides on their partner's coattails. Born on August 19, 1967, in Long Island, New York, John is currently 57 years old, which makes him actually slightly younger than Rachael, who's 56. Now, details about his early life are surprisingly scarce. We don't know much about his parents or his upbringing, and that's intentional. John has always been someone who values his privacy, which is ironic considering he's married to one of the most public figures in the food industry. What we do know is that John went to law school and earned his degree, eventually practicing as an entertainment lawyer in New York City. He was good at it too, working with various clients in the entertainment industry, navigating contracts, intellectual property rights, and all the complex legal issues that come with show business. But here's the twist that most people don't know about John Cusimano. While he was building this respectable career as a lawyer, he was simultaneously pursuing his true passion, and that passion was music. John is the lead singer of a rock band called the Cringe. Now, before you dismiss this as some hobby band that plays at local bars, let me tell you, the Cringe is the real deal. This is an independent rock band based in New York City, and they've been making music for years. The band features John on lead vocals, along with James Rotondi, Johnny Blaze, and Sean Pelton on drums. If that last name sounds familiar, it's because Sean Pelton is actually a pretty accomplished drummer who's worked with some major artists. The Cringe has played at South by Southwest, one of the most prestigious music festivals in the world, not once but in both 2008 and 2009. They've released several albums, and their sound has been described as gutsy rock with savvy songwriting. John's not just playing around, he's a legitimate musician with a legitimate band. So imagine this. By day, John Cusimano is this buttoned-up entertainment lawyer, dealing with contracts and legal briefs. By night, he's a rock star, belting out songs on stage, living the life that most people only dream about. It's like he's living 2 completely different lives, and somehow, he's made it work. This duality is actually a crucial part of understanding who John really is, because it shows that he's not content with just one identity. He's complex, multifaceted, and always has been. When Rachael met him, she was getting both the stable, professional lawyer and the passionate, creative musician. It's no wonder she fell for him. Their romance moved quickly. After meeting in 2001, they dated for a few years, and by 2005, they were ready to tie the knot. But Rachael and John didn't just have any wedding. They went to Italy, to a spectacular 12th-century castle called Castello di Ivellona in Montalcino, Tuscany. This wasn't just a wedding venue. It was a 22-room luxury hotel perched on a hilltop with breathtaking views of the Tuscan countryside. The wedding was intimate, romantic, and absolutely stunning. Rachael has always been obsessed with Italy. It's her heritage, her passion, and the place where she feels most at home. Getting married, there was a dream come true for her, and having John by her side made it perfect. 10 years later, in 2015, they returned to that very same castle to renew their vows. It was a beautiful gesture that showed their commitment to each other and their shared love for that magical place in Tuscany. Now, you'd think a marriage that starts in an Italian castle would be nothing but fairy tales and happiness, right? Well, not exactly. Because shortly after their wedding, the rumors started. And we're not talking about innocent speculation. We're talking about full-blown tabloid scandals that threatened to tear their relationship apart. Just barely a year into their marriage, the National Enquirer, that infamous tabloid known for its explosive celebrity stories, published a cover story that sent shockwaves through their world. The story claimed that John Cusimano had been unfaithful to Rachael. According to the tabloid, a woman named Janine Walls from Florida came forward alleging that she had engaged in a 5-year-long affair with John, and part of this affair supposedly occurred after he had already married Rachael. The allegations didn't stop there. The National Enquirer also claimed that John had hired escorts and was living a secret life behind Rachael's back. Now, imagine being Rachael Ray in that moment. You're a rising star in the culinary world, your face is becoming known across America, and suddenly your private life is splashed across tabloid covers with these devastating accusations. How do you handle that? Well, Rachael and John chose to handle it by largely ignoring it. They never publicly addressed the specific allegations in detail, and the story eventually faded from the headlines. But here's the thing about rumors, they never really go away completely. They linger, they resurface, and they become part of the narrative around a couple. 4 years after that initial scandal, people whispered about John Cusimano. Was he faithful? Was he leading a double life? Could you really trust this guy who seemed almost too perfect with his law career and rock band and celebrity wife? What made these rumors even more complex was John's lifestyle. Remember, he's a musician in a rock band. He tours, he performs in bars and clubs, he's surrounded by the rock and roll lifestyle that doesn't exactly have a reputation for promoting fidelity. Then add to that his past as an entertainment lawyer, working in an industry known for its wild parties and excess. It's not hard to see why people might be suspicious. But suspicion isn't proof, and rumors aren't reality. The truth is, only Rachael and John know what really happened in their marriage, and they've chosen to keep it private. What we do know is that they're still together, more than 20 years after they first met, and they seem genuinely happy. But the scandals weren't the only red flags that people noticed about their marriage. Over the years, insiders and observers have pointed out several things about Rachael and John's relationship that seem, well, unusual. For starters, they fight. And not just quiet, private disagreements. We're talking loud, public arguments that have been witnessed by neighbors and friends. There have been reports of name-calling, of explosive confrontations, of the kind of volatile interactions that make people uncomfortable. Now, every couple fights, that's normal. But the intensity and public nature of some of these altercations have raised eyebrows. Some marriage counselors who've commented on their relationship from afar have suggested that this pattern of behavior could indicate deeper issues, though of course, they've never treated the couple directly. Then there's the matter of how they talk about each other publicly. Rachael has made some comments over the years that have left people scratching their heads. In one particularly memorable instance that went viral recently, Rachael made some rather explicit sexual confessions about her relationship with John on a podcast. She talked about their intimate life in ways that made listeners deeply uncomfortable, with some fans calling it TMI, too much information. The comments were so graphic that they sparked outrage on social media, with people questioning why she would share such private details publicly. Some saw it as a sign of a healthy, open relationship where nothing is taboo. Others saw it as inappropriate oversharing that crossed boundaries of good taste. Even more eyebrow-raising was Rachael's admission that when she first met John, she actually thought he might be gay. She shared this story multiple times, almost as if it's a funny anecdote, but it reveals something interesting about their initial dynamic. She was apparently so convinced of this that it took her a while to realize he was actually interested in her romantically. Now, you might think this is just a cute misunderstanding, but some relationship experts have suggested that this kind of initial misread can sometimes indicate that someone isn't picking up on obvious signals, which could point to deeper communication issues in a relationship. Another unusual aspect of their marriage is their decision not to have children. Now, let me be clear, there is absolutely nothing wrong with choosing to be child-free. Many couples make this decision for perfectly valid reasons, and they live happy, fulfilled lives. But in Rachael and John's case, this decision has brought them decades of criticism and judgment. Rachael has been incredibly open about being bashed for years over this choice. In a recent podcast interview, she revealed just how much hate she's received for not having kids. People have called her selfish, they've questioned her femininity, they've suggested that there must be something wrong with her marriage if they don't have children. The scrutiny has been relentless and often cruel. Rachael has explained her reasoning many times. She said that she works too much to be an appropriate parent, that she wouldn't be able to give a child the attention they would need and deserve. She's also pointed out that she already struggles to make enough time for John, so adding a child to the equation would be impossible with her schedule. John, for his part, has supported this decision completely. He's said in interviews that he's perfectly happy with their life as it is, and that they've filled their home with dogs instead of children. But despite these explanations, the judgment continues. It's become such a defining characteristic of their relationship that it's impossible to discuss their marriage without addressing it. Then there's the geographic situation. Rachael and John don't just have one home. They have properties in multiple locations, and they spend significant amounts of time apart. Their main residence used to be in Lake Luzerne, New York, a beautiful property that was tragically destroyed by fire in August 2020. The fire started in a chimney and quickly consumed the entire house, reducing it to ashes. Rachael and John lost everything, including their beloved dog, Isabeau, which was devastating for Rachael especially. The couple had to rebuild from scratch, and it took over a year to complete the reconstruction. During that time, they were displaced, living in temporary accommodations while overseeing the rebuilding process. It was an incredibly stressful period, and some sources close to the couple suggested that the trauma of losing their home put additional strain on their marriage. But even before the fire, and certainly since the rebuild, Rachael and John have maintained a somewhat unconventional living arrangement. They also own property in Tuscany, Italy, and Rachael spends substantial amounts of time there. This isn't just a vacation home. It's a full-scale villa that they've been renovating and developing for years. Rachael has even created a show about the property called Rachael Ray's Italian Dream Home, where she documents the restoration process. The property started as a centuries-old stable without water, electricity, heat, or plumbing, and they've transformed it into a gorgeous Tuscan retreat complete with gardens, olive trees, a vineyard, and wide-open spaces. Here's where it gets interesting. John doesn't always accompany Rachael to Italy. He has his own career, his band, his commitments in New York. So there are extended periods where they're living on different continents. Now, some couples make long-distance arrangements work perfectly well, but it does require a tremendous amount of trust and commitment. And given the rumors and scandals that have plagued their marriage, some people wonder if this geographic separation is by design, whether it's actually a way for them to maintain their relationship by giving each other space and independence. Rachael has actually addressed this directly, explaining that she and John have a weird way of making their marriage work. She said that they give each other space, that they understand each other's need for independence and separate pursuits. They don't need to be together every single moment to feel connected. In fact, Rachael has suggested that the distance and time apart actually strengthens their relationship because it means they never take each other for granted. When they are together, they're fully present and appreciative of each other. It's an unconventional approach, but she insists it works for them. Still, the question lingers, is this really a sign of a healthy relationship, or is it a coping mechanism for deeper problems? Relationship therapists are divided on this. Some say that couples who maintain some independence and pursue their own passions tend to be happier in the long run because they don't lose their individual identities in the relationship. Others argue that too much separation can lead to drifting apart, to living parallel lives rather than a shared life, and that this can be a slippery slope toward disconnection. Adding another layer to this complex picture is John's career in the entertainment industry. Remember, he used to be an entertainment lawyer, which means he was regularly surrounded by celebrities, parties, and the kind of environment where boundaries can get blurry. Even though he's no longer actively practicing law, he's still deeply connected to that world through his music. The Cringe performs at venues all over, they've toured, and John is very much part of the New York music scene. This is a world known for its temptations, and it's a world where a lot of relationships fall apart. The late nights, the groupies, the alcohol, the rock and roll lifestyle, it's not exactly conducive to marital stability. But here's something interesting. Despite all the rumors, all the scandals, all the red flags, Rachael and John have stayed together. Not only have they stayed together, but they've also publicly reaffirmed their commitment to each other multiple times. They renewed their vows in 2015. They've done numerous interviews together where they talk about their love and respect for each other. Just recently, in 2024, they celebrated their 19th wedding anniversary, and by all accounts, they're still going strong. So what's the truth here? Are they a couple barely hanging on, staying together for appearances? Or are they actually deeply in love and committed, just in a way that doesn't fit the traditional mold? The answer might be somewhere in between. It's entirely possible that Rachael and John have a relationship that works for them but wouldn't work for most other people. They've clearly established their own rules, their own boundaries, their own definition of what marriage means. They prioritize honesty, even when that honesty makes other people uncomfortable. Rachael doesn't shy away from discussing their sexual life, their arguments, or their unconventional arrangements. That level of openness is actually pretty rare in celebrity marriages, where image control is usually paramount. There's also the matter of their shared interests and values. Despite their differences, Rachael and John do share some fundamental things. They both love Italy and have made it a central part of their lives together. They both care deeply about their dogs and have been active in animal rescue and advocacy. They both value hard work and creativity. And they both seem to genuinely enjoy each other's company when they are together. The photos of them together show a couple that laughs, that connects, that has real affection for each other. It's also worth noting that Rachael has built an empire, and John has been by her side through all of it. She went from being a local cooking instructor to having multiple shows on Food Network, writing best-selling cookbooks, launching a magazine called Every Day with Rachael Ray, creating her own line of cookware and food products, and becoming a household name worth an estimated $100 million. That kind of success doesn't happen without tremendous stress, long hours, and constant pressure. Many marriages crumble under that kind of scrutiny and demand. The fact that John has supported Rachael through all of this, that he's been her partner through the ups and downs of fame, says something about the strength of their bond. Moreover, John has had his own successes that have nothing to do with being Mr. Rachael Ray. The Cringe has released multiple albums, including titles like Scratch the Surface and Hiding in Plain Sight. They've developed a genuine following in the indie rock world. John has also appeared on television, not just as Rachael's husband but as a personality in his own right. He's been a guest on Rachael's show many times, where he talks about his legal career, his music, and his interests. He comes across as intelligent, witty, and confident. He's not just riding Rachael's coattails, he's his own person with his own accomplishments. But let's address the elephant in the room one more time, those infidelity rumors. The allegations made by Janine Walls back in 2006 were never proven. The National Enquirer, while sometimes accurate, is also known for publishing sensational stories that aren't always fully verified. Walls never provided concrete evidence of the affair she claimed to have had with John. No photos emerged, no emails or text messages were leaked, nothing that would definitively prove the allegations were true. Rachael and John could have sued the tabloid for defamation if the story was completely false, but they chose not to. Does that mean the story was true? Or does it mean they simply didn't want to give it more attention by engaging with it legally? We don't know. What we do know is that in the nearly 20 years since those allegations surfaced, there haven't been any other major cheating scandals involving John. If he were really a serial cheater living a double life, Wouldn't there be more allegations, more stories, more evidence over 2 decades? The fact that there's been relative quiet on this front suggests that either the original allegations were false, or if something did happen, it was a one-time mistake that the couple worked through privately and moved past. There's also the question of why Rachael would stay with John if he had been unfaithful. Rachael Ray is an independent, successful, wealthy woman who doesn't need to stay in a marriage for financial security or social status. If John had betrayed her in the way the tabloid suggested, she could have left him and been just fine. The fact that she chose to stay, and continues to choose to stay, suggests that either the allegations weren't true, or there's more to the story than we know. Perhaps they had an understanding. Perhaps they worked through it with counseling. Perhaps their relationship operates on different rules than traditional marriages. We can speculate, but ultimately, it's their private business. Another aspect of John that's worth exploring is his personality. By all accounts, he's charismatic and charming. He has to be, right? You can't be a successful entertainment lawyer and a rock band frontman without serious charisma. But charisma can be a double-edged sword. Charismatic people can be incredibly compelling and attractive, but they can also be skilled at manipulating situations and people. This doesn't mean John is manipulative, but it does mean he probably has the skills to navigate difficult situations, to smooth things over, to present the version of himself that people want to see. This is a useful skill in his professions, but it also means that we might not always be seeing the real John Cusimano. There might be layers to him that even Rachael doesn't fully understand. Then there's the financial dynamic of their relationship. While we don't know John's exact net worth, estimates suggest it's somewhere in the range of $10 million, which is substantial. However, Rachael's net worth dwarfs that at around $100 million. This means there's a significant financial imbalance in their marriage. Now, money doesn't equal worth in a relationship, and plenty of couples handle income disparities just fine. But it can create power dynamics that affect the relationship in subtle and not so subtle ways. Does Rachael control the finances? Do they have separate accounts? How do they make decisions about major purchases or investments? These are questions that could reveal a lot about how their relationship actually functions day to day. Some sources have suggested that John handles a lot of the business side of Rachael's empire. He's her lawyer, after all, or at least was. It's likely that he's been involved in contract negotiations, deal structures, and the legal framework of her various ventures. This would make him not just her husband but also her business partner in many ways. That can be great for couples who work well together, but it can also blur the lines between personal and professional in ways that create stress. If they have a disagreement about a business decision, does that spill over into their personal relationship? If there's conflict in their marriage, can they still work together effectively on business matters? These are challenges that most couples don't have to navigate. The tragedy of the house fire in 2020 is another crucial chapter in understanding their relationship. On August 9, 2020, their home in Lake Luzerne, New York, caught fire. The blaze started in the chimney and quickly spread, ultimately destroying the entire house. Rachael and John were home at the time, along with Rachael's assistant. They all made it out safely, but their dog Isabeau died in the fire, which was absolutely devastating for Rachael, who was incredibly close to the animal. The house was completely destroyed, along with everything in it. Years of memories, possessions, irreplaceable items, all gone in a matter of hours. This kind of tragedy can either bring a couple closer together or tear them apart. The stress of losing everything, of having to start over, of dealing with insurance companies and contractors and all the logistics of rebuilding, it's enormous. And they were going through this during the COVID-19 pandemic, which added another layer of difficulty. But by all accounts, Rachael and John handled it as a team. They supported each other through the trauma. They made decisions together about the rebuild. They both talked publicly about feeling grateful that they had survived and that they had each other. Rachael even said that in some ways, the experience made them feel enriched because it reminded them of what was truly important. The rebuilt home is gorgeous. They worked hard to recreate it as close to the original as possible while also making improvements. Rachael gave tours of the new house on her show, and you can see how much love and care went into every detail. The fact that they rebuilt together, That they chose to return to the same location rather than starting fresh somewhere else speaks to their commitment to their shared life and their shared history in that place. Now let's talk about something that both Rachael and John are very open about: their love of dogs. For Rachael especially, dogs are like children. She's said this explicitly. After Isabeau died in the fire, she was heartbroken, but she and John eventually adopted another dog and have continued to be advocates for animal rescue. They support various animal charities and have used their platform to encourage others to adopt rescue animals. This shared love of animals is clearly a bonding factor in their relationship. They don't have human children, but they have their fur babies, and they pour a lot of love and attention into them. This is actually one of the areas where Rachael has received the most criticism. People who judge her for not having children often point to her dogs as evidence that she's replacing motherhood with pet ownership, as if that's somehow wrong or pathological. But Rachael has pushed back against this narrative. She said that she simply prefers dogs to children, that she doesn't have maternal instincts toward human babies but she does toward animals. She's unapologetic about this, and John supports her completely. In fact, in interviews, John has echoed Rachael's sentiments, saying that they're both happy with their choice and that their lives are full and meaningful without children. It's worth considering how their relationship might be different if they did have children. Would John be more present, spending less time on his music career? Would Rachael have had to scale back her empire? Would the rumors and scandals have been harder to weather with kids in the picture? We'll never know, but it's interesting to think about. Their decision to remain child-free has absolutely shaped the trajectory of their marriage and their individual lives. Speaking of individual lives, let's return to John's music career because it's such a significant part of who he is. The Cringe isn't a side project or a hobby. It's a serious artistic endeavor. The band has a distinct sound that's been described as hard rock with bluesy undertones and politically charged lyrics. John writes a lot of the songs, and they reflect his views on society, relationships, and life. The band has a dedicated fan base, and they've played at respectable venues. When you watch John perform, you see someone who's completely in his element, who comes alive on stage in a way that's different from how he presents in other contexts. There's something almost cathartic about watching John on stage. He's passionate, energetic, raw. It's a side of him that the general public doesn't see very often because most people only know him as Rachael Ray's husband. But in the music world, he's John Cusimano, lead singer of The Cringe, and he commands respect in that space. His bandmates have talked about how dedicated he is, how seriously he takes the music, how much time he puts into writing, rehearsing, and perfecting their sound. This isn't a vanity project, it's real artistry. One has to wonder how Rachael feels about this side of John's life. Is she supportive, or does she sometimes feel like she's competing for his attention with the band? She's mentioned in interviews that she loves his music and that she's proud of what is accomplished with The Cringe. She's attended their shows and has featured the band on her own show multiple times. So on the surface, it seems like she's very supportive. But there must be moments when it's challenging, when he's away on tour or spending late nights at the studio, and she's dealing with her own demanding schedule. How do they balance those competing demands? Again, this is something that only they truly know. Let's also consider the cultural and personality differences between them. Rachael is this bubbly, energetic, constantly on personality who fills every room she enters. She talks fast, she moves fast, she's always doing 10 things at once. John, while charismatic in his own right, seems more laid back and contemplative. He's thoughtful in interviews, he takes his time answering questions, he has a quieter confidence. These differences could be complementary, the classic opposites attract dynamic. Or they could be a source of friction, with each partner frustrating the other by operating at different speeds and with different communication styles. There's also the matter of their different professional worlds. Rachael exists in the world of daytime television, cooking shows, lifestyle brands, and mass-market appeal. It's wholesome, family-friendly, accessible. John exists in the world of rock music and entertainment lore, which can be gritty, edgy, and definitely not G-rated. These are very different cultures with very different values and norms. How do they bridge that gap? How do they support each other's careers when those careers are so fundamentally different? One thing that seems to help is their shared appreciation for Italy and Italian culture. This is common ground where they both light up. They both love the food, the wine, the landscape, the slower pace of life, the emphasis on quality over quantity. Their property in Tuscany is their shared dream, a project they've worked on together for years. When they're there, you can see in photos and videos that they're genuinely happy and relaxed. Italy seems to be the place where they can both be themselves without the pressures of their American lives, where they can reconnect and remember why they fell in love in the first place. Rachael has said that when they're in Tuscany, they cook together, they tend to the gardens, they host friends for long dinners that stretch late into the night. It's idyllic and romantic, and it's a side of their relationship that we don't always see in the hustle and bustle of their New York lives. Perhaps this is the real key to their marriage. They've found a place, both literally and figuratively, where they can escape the noise and just be together. But even in paradise, there are challenges. The restoration of their Italian property has been a massive undertaking. Rachael documented much of it for her show Rachael Ray's Italian Dream Home, and you can see the stress and the setbacks they encountered. Old buildings in Italy come with all sorts of complications: historical preservation requirements, structural issues, finding the right craftspeople, dealing with Italian bureaucracy. It's a labor of love, but labor nonetheless. The fact that they tackled this together and stuck with it despite the difficulties says something about their resilience as a couple. Now, as we near the end of this deep dive, let's address the ultimate question. What is the truth about John Cusimano? Is he the devoted husband that he appears to be in public, or is there a darker side that's been hidden from view? Based on everything we've examined, the truth is probably more nuanced than either extreme. John appears to be a complicated man living a complicated life with a very public partner. He has his own ambitions, his own passions, his own identity separate from being Rachael's husband. That's actually healthy and important. But he's also chosen to be with someone whose fame inevitably casts a spotlight on him, and that comes with scrutiny he probably wouldn't face otherwise. The rumors and allegations from years past will likely never be fully resolved. We'll probably never know with absolute certainty what happened or didn't happen. But what we can see is that Rachael and John have built a life together that has endured for more than 2 decades. They've weathered scandals, house fires, career pressures, public judgment about their choice not to have children, and the general challenges that come with any long-term relationship. The fact that they're still together, still talking about each other with affection and respect, still making plans for the future, suggests that whatever their marriage is, it works for them. Maybe that's the real revelation here, that there's no one right way to be married. Rachael and John have created their own version of marriage, one that includes time apart, separate careers, unconventional living arrangements, and a level of public openness that makes some people uncomfortable. It might not be the marriage that you or I would want, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to work for them, and by all appearances, it does. John Cusimano is a man of many facets: lawyer, musician, husband, dog lover, property restorer, Italian food enthusiast. He's someone who's managed to maintain his own identity while being married to a massive celebrity. He's someone who's weathered rumors and maintained his dignity. He's someone who, despite all the speculation and gossip, has stayed committed to his wife for more than 20 years. Whatever secrets he may have, whatever truths have been revealed or remain hidden, what's clear is that he and Rachael have chosen each other, again and again, through good times and bad. So the truth about Rachael Ray's husband? It's that he's human. Flawed, complex, talented, controversial, loyal, and ultimately unknowable to anyone except the woman he married. Their relationship is their own, and while we can observe it, analyze it, and speculate about it, we'll never fully understand it from the outside. And maybe that's how it should be. Maybe the best marriages are the ones that maintain some mystery, some private space that belongs only to the two people in it. As Rachael and John continue their journey together, renovating houses, making music, cooking meals, and building their empire, one thing is certain: they'll continue to fascinate us. Because in a world where celebrity marriages often seem fake or doomed to fail, these two have proven that unconventional doesn't mean unsuccessful. They've shown that you can have a real, lasting partnership even when the odds seem stacked against you, even when the whole world is watching and judging. And perhaps that's the most important truth of all, that love, in whatever form it takes, can endure if both people are willing to fight for it. Rachael Ray and John Cusimano have been fighting for their relationship for more than 2 decades now, and they're still in the ring. That, in itself, is revealing.